Let's get ready to rumble.
Yes, we're back. It is episode 111 of the Hibs Ramble, and we're coming to you the day after Boxing Day. We've just come back from Tynecastle, and we've picked ourselves up a lovely 3 points. It's Shaun and Craig who are with me, your host Liam, today. How are we, boys?
Buzzing, mate. Absolutely buzzing.
Fantastic.
Absolutely brilliant, mate. Absolutely brilliant. This is probably the happiest that we've been this season. But before we get on to the game, how was your Christmas? You have a good Christmas?
Yeah, lovely, mate. Just a quiet one. We went to Cool Jade in Christopherson for our tea,
Lovely stuff.
I
said it before because you mentioned it to me, and I said I thought it was a bit utter woke nonsense going for a Chinese on Christmas Day, but you sent me a picture that actually looked well good.
Yeah, it was decent. Because it was like, we have like alternative Christmases with the kids in that, so because it was just me and Emma, we went out with her mum, stepdad, auntie and brother for it, so no, it was nice.
Decent.
Nice not to have fucking hundreds of dishes to do anyway.
Aye, well, I never have that problem anyway. We always have Christmas at someone else's house, which is good. Shaun, how was yours? I know you were on a bit of a cut, as you like to call it. I mean, I don't really know what they call it in industry. But did you enjoy your Christmas nonetheless?
Just for content or context, whatever you want to class it as, I'll send you the picture of what my plate looked like.
Oh no!
It was the only meal I had that day. It took me 6 minutes to finish it, and that was with me not like
breathing, obviously.
Not rushing. Like, I just wasn't coming up for air. It was just. I was so.
Do you know what? Compared to what I thought that was going to be, I'm happy with that.
Are you a Sprouts man, Craig?
My arse is toxic enough.
I want to like Brussels sprouts, but see, I just can't. I can't get behind it at all, man.
So it was great, but weirdly, even after that, I still lost weight.
Get you to put that on the ramble later on the Twitter, which we've actually special announcement. We've just hit 2,000 followers on Twitter, which is incredible. So thank you to everyone who follows us over there. And if you don't follow us already, we are at the Hibs Ramble. But let's
only 14,500 more to go to compete with the amount of crying that was at Tynecastle yesterday.
Absolutely. Talking about Tynecastle, will we have a chat about what happened there yesterday? A fantastic result for the Hibs. Obviously, getting one over on our city neighbours for the first time in 5 years at Tynecastle. Exactly 5 years as well. Were you confident going into it?
I was. I didn't expect us to lose. I always go into these
Aberdeen
games
as well, man.
Yeah, but with Aberdeen, I felt, probably because it wasn't a derby, I felt more confident of getting a result. Although obviously we win less there. Just the nature of the fixture, I always find it hard to be confident. I think the 2 times I have been extremely confident going into a derby, they've pumped us both times. So that definitely plays a factor for me. I didn't see us losing it. It was just a case of, could we have the bottle to either come back or take the lead and see it through, which thankfully, David Gray executed fantastically.
It didn't quite pan out, the way that you'd expertly illustrated it in the pod last week, Shaun, but
I'm not complaining.
Nonetheless, at full time you wouldn't have been that bothered. But I said
technically we got 3 celebrations.
Exactly. And I said last week that I would have wanted Josh Campbell to score, and technically, the Heart scoreboard gave it to Josh Campbell, so I'm giving it to Josh Campbell. I don't know about you, but
I'm happy with that.
Josh Campbell now completes the trifecta of scoring against Celtic, Rangers, and Hearts. Craig, do you agree with that, or are you?
No, it was an own goal. It's an own goal.
Well, fuck you, mate. Craig, it was an unchanged lineup, so we're sticking with the same shape. That three at the back with the Caddens as wing backs. You said before the game that you were really confident that if we went into the game with that shape, with that lineup, that we would come away with the points. What was it about that made you so confident?
I just felt that we'd be able to overrun them in areas that they wouldn't be able to match us in. I mean, I think if you actually go back and watch the first half in particular, there's a lot of instances where there's a switch on, because it was more so Nicky rather than Chris. But if when keepers take goal kicks and they all kind of go over to one side.
Mm-hmm.
When Smith was taking the goal kicks, aiming it down our right hand side, Nicky Cadden held a lot of width out on the left. He was almost on the touchline, and I just felt that they never really had anything in terms of getting in behind the back five / back three. There was nothing there that they could have troubled us with, and I just felt that with Triantis, Newell, and Campbell in the middle, I know there's a lot said for somebody like Cammy Devlin, who's an absolutely fucking horrific football player, but he's like a dog in there. He never stops. He constantly keeps working. And I thought, as the game played out, you could actually see what our game plan actually was, other than trying to sort of overload them in the wide areas with the back three, and the wing backs, was to almost just let Cammy Devlin have the ball. Because if you could let him have time on the ball, he doesn't have a fucking Scooby what to do with it.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. Sean, did you think that the way that they set up kind of allowed us to play them to perfection? Obviously, they went 4-3-3, and with their attacking players playing so far forward and very high, it allowed Chris and Nicky to get then in behind, and it was less of a 5-3-2, more of a 3-5-2 in that middle of the park, and that's where we got, like Craig said, most of the joy.
Yeah, I think the way that we shaped up definitely exploited their weaknesses. They had a huge weakness down their right-hand side, and at current point of recording, our strongest area of the park is probably down the left with Nicky and Ellie. I know obviously Ellie and Martin were up top together, but in recent weeks it's been those two down that left side. So Nicky's been our best player, and the right side of the pitch has been a very, very difficult area for Hearts in recent weeks. I was speaking to one of my mates before the game and during it as well. I didn't realise just how poor they were down that right-hand side until the weekend. So it didn't come as a great surprise to me that they were happy for Hearts to have lots of the ball down that side as well, and leave the boy at right back to have as much time on the ball and lots of space, because very similar to what Craig was saying with Cammy Devlin, he was the exact same down the right-hand side. He just couldn't pick up a pass and couldn't really do anything. And we spoke about, on the last episode, our pressing against Aberdeen and how we were able to kind of win the ball higher up the pitch. And I feel like we've done that quite a lot, or we at least tried to, again, and put them under pressure a lot, because Halkett, Rolls and their right back just don't like being on the ball. Penrice is a different type of player. He's really, really good, but we limited him to very little as well. So it just goes to show that the amount of pressure we were putting on their back line, and how high up we were up the park, probably played into our plan better than theirs. Me and Craig were talking after the match. Craig mentioned that Hearts had about 60% possession, but it didn't feel like that. I can't remember a time I've been at Tynecastle and I've watched a more dominant first 40 minutes. Every single man in that first 40 minutes were just unbelievable. And I've never seen us play so well at Tynecastle.
It was really good. It was really good. And like you say, the early pressure told when we ended up getting the goal. But the frustrating thing for me, I know that we got 3 celebrations, but come on, did it really have to take that long to decide whether Rocky Bushiri was impeding the goalkeeper when, I mean, I couldn't even see the goal. Like there was people blocking my view, and I knew that it was fine. You know what I mean? Like, is there any need for VAR to take that long? Obviously, it comes to the right decision. That's great. We got a goal and we take the lead in the derby. But Craig, did it kind of frustrate you a little bit to have like the celebrations kind of staggered?
A wee bit, but then you can argue about VAR. But if we never had VAR, we wouldn't have had that goal. So I mean, I think it's actually a lot closer than what a lot of people do. I think if it comes straight off Campbell, it probably gets disallowed. But because it comes off Rolls, then that's maybe what they were trying to determine, is that where's the initial point of contact for Campbell, and then where is Rocky's position when it hits off of Rolls. But again, unbelievable delivery for Nicky Cadden.
Yeah.
He has been, it's been spoken about that it was almost a nepotism signing that we got him, because obviously, his twin brother's here, and why did we wait? Because we never signed him until what was it, the end of July, near start of August or something. Maybe
Was it
even
Dave
longer than that.
We signed 3 players in the one day, and it was
It was almost a case of, he can't be that good if he's waiting, if he's without a club until now. But he's been, I suppose up until the last 4 or 5 weeks, he'd been one of the only bright sparks in what's been a pretty shite season.
Yeah.
And his left foot's just, we've not had a player that can deliver a set piece like that for a while.
Well, since Stevie Mallon is what I thought.
Yeah.
I was actually talking about this on the BBC this morning. That exactly more or less what you've just said, Craig. So I think you've just listened to what I said and regurgitated.
I think we've made it pretty clear that if I'm not involved, I don't listen. So I never had a clue what you said.
Well, basically, that's exactly what I said. Is that,
but to the point, the celebrations thing, because it was decent to go again.
It was decent to go again, especially Shaun after.
And then
being at large when the
Josh Campbell giving it the Morelos.
Mate, he did it for the Dwight Gill's goals.
I know.
But after the Hearts fans giving it large, Shaun, it was good to give it them back again just a couple of minutes later.
Yeah, the massive shout out to Aaron Fraser for the fantastic content once again. I watched his video purely to see the limbs, because he's quite good at getting them caught on camera. So yeah, you can see the celebration the first time the goal's given, or when it actually goes in, and then when it's disallowed, you can see the Hearts fans celebrating. And then we always talk about, Liam, you've just hinted towards it, VAR kind of affecting celebrations, or how long the decision takes. Just go back and watch that clip. I screen recorded it and posted it on my Twitter. The second time when the goal's actually confirmed, the limbs are just as good.
Yeah, I felt that in the stand as well. I felt that.
It did fit to me though. It felt like I didn't have a clue why it was called off, and then obviously saw the linesman's flag, so I assumed potential interference or offside, but I couldn't put together what that could have been because I couldn't remember who was around the goalkeeper. Mm-hmm. And then the longer it takes, the more confident you get as a fan of it going in your favour. Whereas if the goal was given and then they went to the monitor, you're then obviously thinking the opposite. So the longer they take making the decision that they're looking at, you can then assume that they're going to overturn it. So the vibe I got in the stand at that point was of confidence. No one could really understand. There was already text coming through saying the commentators are saying that's a joke of a decision, that it should have never been called off. But I tell you what, that linesman down that side in that first half, he had an abysmal game, and I'm pretty sure
the linesman and the referee were both stinking.
I'm pretty sure that linesman, correct me if I'm wrong, for their goal, we should have actually got a throw.
It's a Hibs throw right in front of him.
And I know that we have more than enough opportunities to stop the play and stop the cross and stop the ball coming in, and it's unfortunate how their goal comes about because it deflects off Rocky when he's trying to swing for it, or he's just trying to react. But that all comes from that linesman's poor decision, and that was a frustration for me because, as I've already alluded to, we were so dominant in that first half. So for them to then get a throw-in that wasn't theirs and that it should have been ours, to then ultimately then getting a goal out of it, just kind of summed up an Edinburgh derby for me. And then it was a case of at half-time I'm thinking, fucking hell, right, okay, if we didn't pick up for this, we're in real trouble.
It's one of them where we've kind of seen it. We've seen this story so many times, Craig, where, we are better. We don't particularly capitalise on an awful lot of the pressure. Obviously, we got the goal, but then to then go in at half-time 1-1, that felt to me like a little bit of an injustice. I don't think 3 or 4-1 at that stage of the game would have flattered us. at all. I thought we were really, really good first half, but going into half time, the break, obviously Hearts got a goal at what you would, if you were a Hearts fan, you would imagine that is a really good time to score. So, what were you thinking then when the second half kicks off and they start to kind of attack us a little bit more and we're sort of on the back foot?
Just thinking, fucking hell, here we go again. Like, I'm pretty sure, like, as I've said, like, so many times, I think I've missed maybe, since I started going to games regularly in 1998, I think I've missed 2 games at Tynecastle. So, I've seen enough there to know how the story ends at times. I mean, I'll be fucking delighted when Craig Gordon eventually just packs it in, because that he has got some sort. He must do some sort of fucking voodoo before every derby.
He always
Because
turns it on against us because he's been shite all season.
even in the second half, though, there's one that Chris Cadden has that it just hits him in the chest.
And he's just there. He's just in the right position.
He's just right there.
The Cadden one in the first half as well was lucky.
So it was a frustration because we did, as you say, I think 2-3 at least you wouldn't have found many disagreeing with that. And then obviously they get the goal right on half, like not even right on half, like it's pretty much the whistle goes not long after they score, and then you see the clip back, and it's kind of fucking the throw-ins, the header's probably going out near the corner flag until Rocky swings a leg at it, and your immediate thought is just, oh no, here we fucking go again. And then it didn't help that we started the second half relatively poor. I don't think for the first 10-15 minutes of the second half that we actually really had a touch of the ball. I
don't think that was in terms of us playing poor. I think obviously they'd got a little bit more momentum at the start of the second half, and we were just weathering it. Really, they had a lot of the ball, but we limited them to very, very little in terms of clear-cut chances at the start of that second half. So I don't think it was a fact that we came out and were poor. I just think they had a little bit more self-belief, but then that completely waned when they can't stick the ball in the back of the net.
Yeah, but it's not the fact that we were poor, but when we got on the ball, we couldn't make it stick. I mean, I was just looking, just when Shaun was talking about the possession stuff, I've went and looked at like the first and second half split, and we had 29% of the ball in the second half. We only made 55 passes in 45 minutes.
That's amazing.
That's Hearts. 55 out of 97. Hearts made 188 out of 243. They completed over 3 times the amount of passes we did.
Just over 1 pass a minute.
Yeah. And it's but that's what I mean. Like we in the second half, we barely got on the ball for that sort of 10-15 minutes, and that kind of backs it up. Yeah. It was never like backs to the wall, but it did feel a bit like, I think they got like a succession of corners. I think they maybe got 2 or 3 corners, one after the other, and immediately you're thinking, fucking hell, like one of these is going to go. But I think, and you know what, fair fucks to Rocky as well, because it would have been very easy for him to go into a shell, and let the last thing you want as a Hibs player at Tynecastle is for 3 stands to be signing your name rather than 1 stand, because it means that you've fucked up in some way, shape or form. And up until the goal, I thought Rocky was excellent, and then after the goal, he probably needed a few. He kind of took his time to settle a wee bit, but again, I thought he was excellent after it, and it's fair enough. It's testament to him that he's went from no kicking a ball at the start of the season to, I mean, you look at turning points in a season. His is probably the turning point with the equaliser against Aberdeen, and absolutely. He's kind of built on that every week since, and he's been an important part. No matter what folks say, he's been an important part of the team and the results that we've picked up since then.
Yeah, I completely agree, Shaun. Just touching back on the goal itself, I looked at it back and I'm saying it's a real howler from Rocky, and it is. But do you think as a defender he's got to make contact with the ball there? Because if he doesn't know who's coming in behind him. I don't think he would have fully known that it wasn't going to nestle in the corner. If you were Rocky in that position, would you swing a foot at it as well?
I think any natural footballer would do the same. It's a lot harder in that position to avoid it than react to it. So I'm not surprised that he's went for that. His natural instincts would do that, and I would want his natural instincts to be just that. I would rather our players be willing to put their neck on the line or their foot or whatever it is that's needed to put a block in and try and stop anything that is going potentially goal bound or potentially someone in behind them, rather than shy away and like lift his leg up and let it go underneath, and then he doesn't know that someone's in behind him to tap it in or it's going to roll into the corner. So yeah, as Craig's already alluded to, like at that point, from then on, that 15-minute spell, it kind of just felt like it was, here we go again. But I've mentioned it in the last couple of pre-derby episodes about how we've actually performed in derbies, and we just seem to keep getting better. So
Yeah.
I don't know at what point, from a mentality thing, it will change for people like Craig and I, or maybe even people that are older than us. It probably will never change. But in our last 7 derbies, Hearts have only now won 1. And even that one, obviously it was a 3-0 pumping at Easter Road in the Cup. We were still the better team at that point. And every derby since then, we have been the better side for the majority of the match. The weekend included there as well. We now find ourselves as a club where at Tynecastle in the last 16 derbies, Hearts have only won 4.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know we've not won a lot, but we're still going to a very, very tough venue and preventing them from winning. And I don't know if it's either this decade or the last 10 years, but we're now on the same amount of wins. So recently there has been that switch. Yes, we had the very, very good period under like Alan Stubbs and Neil Lennon at times, where we were winning derbies and we were unbeaten in like 10 or 11. But at what point does it start to maybe change from a club perspective? Because year after year we're like, well, we're just softer as a club. They just want it more. But our last 7, performance-wise, have been there. And for a lot of years, we can't say that either. But recently, we've been able to say that. And that, for me, is a huge, huge takeaway as well.
I don't think there's any dispute about who wanted it more yesterday. Anyway, that's for sure, Craig. We were first to everything. I thought Joe Newell and Nectar and Josh Campbell and then Kwon, when he came on in the middle of the park, they were everywhere, covered more or less every blade of grass. Absolutely fantastic. Putting the real doggy work in to make sure that we stayed on top, especially in that midfield, because I feel like that was where the game was maybe won and lost a little bit, because our quality trumps Hearts' quality tenfold in that area of the park. But it's just refreshing, Craig, to see that sort of determination, that grit, that mindset going there, compared to a lot of times, like Shaun says, we've been there and you can just tell that Hearts have wanted it more because they have it drilled into them. Don't lose the derby, don't lose the derby.
Yeah, I've been there with fucking Rivalry and O'Connor up front with Brown and Thompson in midfield behind them, and seen us get scalped 4-0, 4-1. I think it's really telling, and I mean it just goes to show you how quickly football can change. In that, 6-8 weeks ago we were saying there's no characters, they're all fucking boring, they're all losers, they're all this, they're all that. And it's actually quite humbling to see that. That's why I'm sat working a 9 to 5 and not involved in football, because I clearly don't fucking know a lot. Because that performance yesterday was filled with character, filled with determination, filled with, a lot's been said about Newell, by me especially, that he can go hiding at times, and I don't think that can be disputed. But yesterday was a day where he was stood up and counted. Jack Iredale yesterday stood up, counted. I thought he was
incredible. By the
I
way,
thought he was
really
superb.
under the radar.
The last 10 minutes, that's your proper under the cosh period, where they're going to start flinging anything and everything And I mean, there was only once, I think he tried to do Vargas and Vargas spun away from him, then he ended up diving after it, but he got himself back into position and recovered. But, every block that came in, every tackle, every header, him, Rocky, O'Hora before he went off, and then Lewis Miller, the Caddens, Obita, they were celebrating it like it was a goal.
So was I.
And that's something that we've very rarely seen for that team. It's almost been a bit like, right, let's focus. And even there was a period in the first half where O'Hora wasted a couple of passes and Josh Campbell went absolutely fucking berserk at him.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think it's, I honestly I can't put my finger on what's changed. Compared to, I mean, one of the guys in our chat, Callum, shared a graphic about like XG overperformance, underperformance, and the stats tell you that we should be sitting third.
Yeah.
So, has it been that the performances have actually been there all along, but we've just been blinded by the fact that we've been conceding late goals, that we've been, going down to 10 men too regularly? Have we been too reactive rather than actually looking at the bigger picture and realising, right, it's purely just, it must be luck that we're finding ourselves this way because the data's telling us something different.
Yeah, well, then the data also told Hearts that Neil Critchley was the man for the job, and he looks like a lost dog. He's
our wee pal. He's our wee shark chasing pal.
Mate,
but just for Liverpool.
He's there, Lee Johnson, absolutely.
Remember, what was it he said? You come to our stadium, you play our game, and we'll come after you.
So you will, Neil. Pipe down your chihuahua. Mate.
And do you know what? See, just while we're on that about character and that, I probably couldn't be happier for David Gray as well to get that. We've been vocal about, and again, is this just because we're looking at purely at results? But, he must have been going through the fucking ringer since the summer with everything that's going on. And yesterday, I think yesterday's the first game where I could say, start to finish, Gray got it spot on.
Yep.
In terms of his subs have been, ridiculed at times as well. But clearly Newell was toiling, O'Hora was toiling, Ellie wasn't really there for much of it. Him and Boyle were probably the only ones that you could say were maybe below par in terms of an attacking aspect.
Even then, though,
they still contributed
running at times as well.
They did. I mean, in terms of in terms of going forward, in terms of on the ball, they never done a lot.
Overall contributions, though, I think that it was important to have them on the park because
to stretch.
Then stretched the Hearts defence and allowed the Caddens and Campbell.
No, but that's what I mean. The Gray realising, he didn't have to, he could have easily, when it got to the last 15, 20 minutes, put Hoylett on.
Yeah.
And maybe went for something a bit different and given up a bit of space in the middle of the park to go for a winner. Obviously, Newell's been toiling with an injury. You didn't want to see your captain go off, but again, on the ball, it wasn't great, but Quan did cover a lot of ground when he came on. And obviously, Dwight Gale, just that goal was, when you actually see the full picture of the goal, it's an unbelievable finish.
Yeah, I just watched Sports Scene this morning, just to kind of remind myself, and obviously I didn't want to watch the goals back. It's not really anything that I was that interested in. I just wanted to, refresh my memory before chatting to you. But the way that Dwight Gale keeps that in at the side, and then he busts a gut to get across the park and then into the front post, in front of the centre half. I can't remember who it is. If it's Halkett.
It's Halkett.
So, to get in front of him, but the finish itself, I mean, that, for me, that's a perfect goal. That's brilliant. I mean, the ball in was fantastic. Dwight Gale actually spoke about it in his post-match that he'd been talking to Nicky Cadd and Shaun about that's the kind of ball that he wants. He doesn't want the big floated balls that are into his head. He wants the ones that are going to come to him at his feet, so that he can guide it in, because that's what he's best at. And I mean, things are clicking. What on earth is going on?
If there's anyone in that team that can deliver a pinpoint ball, it's Nicky Cadden, that's for sure. Very, very happy with the ball in. It's a striker's dream, that kind of ball in as well. And yeah, Craig's already said, like, that type of finish cannot be underestimated. That's an incredibly hard thing to do, especially
Oh, aye.
catching it on the half volley as well, and just getting enough on it to keep the pace, not take any of the pace off the cross, but just change the direction of it as well.
Sean, the angle that he was at as well, it's not as if he was in the
That's what I'm
middle of the
saying.
goal and able to easily get it. Like, that still
Yeah.
had to go past Craig Gordon. That had to cover a lot of ground to get into the corner.
Yep. And it just goes to show the quality that he's got, and that's why he's obviously not kind of starting these kind of matches, because he's not there to kind of do the doggy work. He's not there to do the running. Yes, he can maybe still do it a little bit, but he's there for his game awareness and his game smartness. And listen, that little dodge and that little run that he makes before he then comes into the front post, that's ultimately what's won us the game. And
Yeah.
the more these players start to play together, and they start to gel, and they have these little conversations on the training field or during games, like what you're saying there about Nicky Cadden and Dwight Gale, it's no surprise that these relationships are being, I don't know what the word I'm looking for, but the
Enhanced.
relationships are kind of growing week on
Yeah.
week, and it's allowing them to kind of improve and transition what they're talking about on the training field onto the pitch as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's just, before we start, I could talk about this all day, man, but before we kind of move on to listener questions and a short look ahead to Kilmarnock on Sunday, there's only a couple more things that I want to talk about, and it's one of them is Rocky Bushiri going like that to the Hearts fans. I thought that was absolutely excellent. Wind the name right up. I mean, he in the end had the last laugh. Craig, you said it earlier on, he was fantastic throughout the game. Just had kind of one moment, one mistake really. I don't even want to call it a moment of madness, because like Sean says, we probably all would have done it.
I think with Rocky, what you need to accept is that you're going to get a brain fart every now and then. And that brain fart was him swinging his weak leg at the ball, and finding it in going past Smith. But just to touch on the Gale goal just for a second, you're saying about the finish, Sean. See his movement. His movement's a joke.
Yeah,
He uses Boyle's run perfectly to just completely ghost him behind him. And I think, see, when you see players who, like, so take Nisbet for example, like, why is it not working for Nisbet at Millwall and then Aberdeen? Somebody like, I'm not just saying Nisbet in particular, but the Scottish strikers up here, in terms of the difference of the level, they don't make that run.
it's the IQ. I mean, it's the.
They probably just, Boyle, because Boyle looks to go near post, another striker would naturally go back post and go for that looped one. But Gale doesn't do that. He uses Boyle's run to disguise his perfectly. And
I think there was quite a lot of that from the whole team, though. I mean, there was one instance in particular where Joe Newell gets the ball back. I think it was from we had a free kick, and Nicky Cadden makes a decoy run down the left and drags them. And I think there's an awful lot of that going on at the moment. Clearly,
That's why we have players like Hoylett and Gale in the team, though, and like last season, players like Alfie as well. That's why you have these type of experienced journeymen, so to speak, that have done it down south and can come up here and kind of give that level of intelligence onto players like whether it be Martin Boyle, who's obviously in his 30s now, or whether it be Josh Campbell or any other strikers that we've got.
Absolutely. From one great striker to an absolute donkey, how bad was Shankland?
I noticed a lot in the match where, and I don't really understand it, he'd done it a lot last season and it worked a treat for him. He was dropping deep a lot, and they left, is it Wilson? That's the young lad, that scored against us earlier in the season. They were leaving him up top, and it didn't really make any sense to me to do that, because they were bypassing Shankland, and Hearts were then going long, missing Shankland, and then Wilson's left in a 1v1 with either O'Hora or Bashiri, which he's obviously never ever going to win. I would have, if I was Critchley, probably done it the other way about and had Wilson feeding off of Shankland and having Shankland go for that physical battle, because if you look at what happened at Easter Road, Shankland manages to get the better physically wise against Rocky Bashiri. So he would have fancied his chances again against them as well. So they should have done it the other way about I understand why they done it that way, but to then not change that mid-game just doesn't make any sense, and it screams of inexperience, which doesn't really make sense for what Neil Critchley's background has been before he came to Hearts. And thankfully for us, they obviously never made that switch, and long may it continue. What really, really concerned me is when Shanklin got that space in like the 93rd, second, 93rd minute. Last season, he buries that when that gap opens up.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, he takes an extra 2-3 touches and then that blocks it off again, and then it's one block after another after another. Last season, when that space opens up, he smacks that and it finishes 2-2, and it's a different outcome. So I thank God he's in the form that he's in at the minute.
Yeah, well, I mean, without talking too much about Hearts and their players, I just think that's kind of paints a picture of the sort of season that Shanklin's had, and probably the season that Hearts have had as a collective, that they've just made the wrong decisions, and it's always come back to bite them, I suppose.
Long may it continue. Fuck them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I hope they had an absolutely fucking rotting Christmas.
Yep, and absolutely fuck you to the boy that abused Jordan Abita as well.
Yeah, I will. I mean, he'll be in the cells until.
Hope your hangover's worth it, you horrible cunt.
Yeah, aye. Fucking rot. What
Yep.
the hell? Just quickly before we touch on listener questions, very, very quickly, how much did you enjoy the celebrations at the end?
Do you know what, right? My favourite part about it all was usually the final whistle goes, they all go and shake hands and that, and then, they start the slow walk over. As soon as the final whistle goes, near everybody just charges for the away end. And I'm not being funny, right? But usually, it's a wee clap, a wee fist bump, a wee gas, and then clapping and they go off. We took the cunt yesterday. Rocky doing the matador.
Only Newell, Boyle, and Smith were the only ones that started shaking hands. Everyone else just bolted past the Hearts boys and was just giving it Yaldi all the way for like the 80 yards and stuff like that. I love it.
Mate, it was
Rocky doing the matador with the Santa hat on. Elliot running about with the corner flag.
Did you see the wee podgy steward that tried to get it up?
But I know that was one of the best ones that we've had at Tynecastle, I think.
Mate, it was so funny. I said it to Sean just before we come on. Like, I feel like we celebrated it like we'd won a trophy.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell you what, and I was like, oh, maybe we overdid that a wee bit to Sean. And Sean went, well, the last time we beat them at Tynecastle was 5 years ago. Didn't come round very often. Derby wins for either side lately. So when it happens, you got to make the fucking most of it. And we did.
These players deserve that, though. The performance that they put in as
absolutely.
well, they deserved it. It was just a shame for them it was only 2-1. And the hard work and criticism that they've put on, that they've had to put up with, all season. Like Craig already mentioned that what David Gray's been having to go through, obviously not a lot of it has been his fault. Some of it has with some team selection and subs, but a lot of it has been down to individual errors and mistakes, and we're slowly being able to cut them out. So that squad of players deserved that, and I hope they got a nice juicy bonus for getting that victory as well.
Yeah.
It just goes to show you, though, what a few positive performances and results can do as well. Given that,
Let's not forget, by the way, though, we've beat
fucking
Hearts,
dog, man.
we've beat Aberdeen, and we've beat Motherwell. So the teams that we're beating at the minute are teams that 2 months ago we wouldn't have expected any chance against.
Yeah.
And all the way for home as well. That's what I'm trying to say. Like how, 6 weeks ago there was no connection between the players and the fans. There was none. Yet yesterday was, that final whistle felt really similar to what it was like under Stubbs.
Mm-hmm.
Like that feeling at the end of the game with the players there.
I think the last 10 minutes, like we said, the amount of fight, bodies on the line, sort of defending that we put into it, and the way that we performed, I think it kind of healed an awful lot of that disconnect.
Yeah.
In that second half, probably, just the way that in which we just fought for each other, and the players gave it to them from the stands onto the park. And I actually think we never spoke about this earlier on, but the swapping sides probably helped us in the second half in terms of keeping the ball out the net as a fan base. and everything that they were doing, we were celebrating and cheering, because if they were up the other end and the Hearts supporters are trying to suck the ball into the goal, then it gives you the complete opposite effect. So, I mean, I don't actually know who it was that decided to swap ends. I assumed, because we had kickoff, that it was Dame who chose to swap ends, but I'm not
sure
too
you do a
how it
coin
worked.
toss for both. I could be wrong.
A
I'm
coin
sure you do.
toss?
Coin toss.
Coin toss. I can't even say that one either. Coin toss. There we go. I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do it for both.
Oh man,
That was really funny. I
was
mean,
not expecting that.
whoever decided to swap ends, it worked for Hibs. So if it was whoever decided for it would have been Shanklin there. If it was Shanklin, then get it right up here. And if it was Joe Newell, then what a fantastic decision, Mr. Newell. But before we wrap up, let's answer some listener questions.
Now it's time to answer the Hibs Ramble listener questions.
First off, John McIntosh, what the actual fuck is for dinner? Also, who's heard of a win away to Aberdeen and Hearts in the same week?
Dinner. I don't know. I'll be at Edinburgh Airport tonight, so not 100%. Not 100% sure.
All Baroni.
I did have a Domino's last night after the game.
Did you? I had a second Christmas dinner last night after the game.
See, that's the only thing I've been pissed off about going to the Chinese, is that we never had any leftovers.
Yeah, I had the Christmas dinner on Christmas Day, obviously, and then Christmas dinner yesterday as well.
Yeah.
At Megan's Grand's, and it was absolutely superb. Sean, what about you? If you don't know, then just tell us what you had for dinner last night.
Last night I had lots of mini wee bites, pizzas, chicken skewers,
Were you still on the cut
crisps.
up till yesterday?
Well, I'll be on it until the end of January, but it was just lots of little bites to eat that was on. So it's always a Boxing Day feast that gets put on. So I went back and tanned that.
Lovely stuff, mate. Lovely stuff. Gav Dick says top class from Gale. That's it, with a green love heart. Grammar's perfect. Spelling's all fine.
Well done, Gav.
Maybe could have done with a capital G on Gale, but
no.
Listen, we're not gonna dog you down for that. This is a happy podcast.
So close.
Big Bread Bins says, 1, is it normal to feel so incredibly turned on by Nicky Cadden as a straight man? I feel like we're all in the same boat, to be honest. I'm like that when I look at Sean every week on the podcast.
Well, I seen Sean in the sauna and in a jacuzzi, so I've got a one-up on you.
Well, I was actually Ken how Sean completely pied you yesterday.
Well, completely pied the both of us.
Well, no, me after the game. He stopped on a...
He got me after the game as well. He grabbed me by the jacket.
No. He stopped in his car.
Oh, right.
Gave me a lift down the road.
I wasn't in my car when I seen Craig, so...
He went... and stopped, and I seen, oh, look at that wee banger. That wee fucking silver banger Volkswagen. Volkswagen for 2000.
I ended up getting him a lift for like 200 metres. And he was like, just let me out here.
Would have saved me like 15 minutes, but walk in.
I bumped into all three of you, actually. Mark, and then Craig, and then yourself.
Well, we're all together.
Not after the game.
No, after the game, I think.
When you saw us the first time, we were all together. Me, Craig.
I know, I was talking about after.
All right, okay. Second from Big Bread Bins, he says, we've been on a redemption arc, but it's no secret we could do with reinforcements still. Ekpateta and Bowie to return soon is a big boost. But what do you feel we need in January?
Ironically enough,
we're getting dangerously close now. We're getting dangerously close to the transfer window.
Centre half and a striker, I think.
And a goalie, probably.
I'd still say a goalie.
Yeah, I think Smith's earned a chance. He's been, other than the Aberdeen game, he's been solid.
I'd only want us to bring a goalie in if it was permanent and it was a long-term replacement rather than these short-term loans that we have. If
Will Dennis was available on a permanent, then I'd probably take someone like that. But no, like you say, Sean, no, somebody just as another stopgap.
We said this last week, didn't we, Sean, about Will Dennis? That, if everyone got their way, then he would probably be the man that who would want to come in, but it might not work out like that. But no, I
Correct.
mean, I think Jordan Smith. I don't really think he had an awful lot to do really in terms of making saves and keeping the ball out the net yesterday. But we've seen goalies go there and have absolute howlers and concede goals that they, on any other day, any
Fair
other
play
match
to him
day,
though. Like a lot
they
of
would
it was
take.
basic stuff, but he made it look basic as well. Like he made it look
Yeah.
easy and he made it look comfortable.
Well, I mean, I would still quite like a goalie. With Bowie coming back, I think we probably should be okay up top. I don't know. Speak to me at the end of January, and I'll tell you then. Harvey Scott says, "Why is Nicky Cadden the best footballer of all time?" Just as mate.
It's imagine his brother could cross as good as him. Fuck me.
Ken, what's weird is that they're twins, but one's left-footed and one's right-footed.
And one's got a beard and one doesn't.
How good would it have been if the Cadden chance had gone in and Nicky Cadden sets up Chris Cadden for a goal in Edinburgh Derby?
That would have been lovely. And it would have been a good goal as well, though. Great goal.
It would have been a good goal. Next up, Dean Salim says, "Nothing to add other than fuck the Hearts," and Neil Critchley looks like Naked Martin. Mind him, man.
Is that the guy that used to piss in a glass and pour it on himself?
He used to like pay him and he would do a message.
That he was the forerunner for Cameo.
Aye, 1,000,000%. Your full memories of Naked Martin, Sean?
Thankfully, I've until right now wiped them out of my memory. Now I have a terrible image in my head.
Now you're going to be thinking of Naked Martin when you have your dinner.
When he has his pigs and
Maybe
blankets.
never.
Just bacon wrapping his knob.
Mate, have you seen the picture of all the pigs and blankets and it is just a knob in the tray?
Oh.
Naked Martin, man. Oh, right. And finally, second to last, Peter Strom says, "No questions tonight, just want to say yes." And then finally, because he told me to ask it or read it out just before we came on, Colin McLennan says, "What a roller coaster of a game yesterday. Wish I could have been there. Should the club persuade Dwight Gale to postpone his retirement?"
I think we should have persuaded Liam to give his old man his ticket back.
No, he never got it for himself. He was just like, "Oh, we could only get one. Do you want it?" And I went, "Absolutely." So
I just want to add as well. I've just noticed in our group chat that Ali said exactly the same thing about the running for the fans at full time and that.
That's where you got it from, then.
I just want to make it clear that I've not ripped that off.
I think you probably have, because I've seen it like I seen it come.
No, I've literally just seen it
before you actually said it.
Well, I recorded it and I put it on. So Craig, you've clearly seen my video and stole it from my video.
Yeah, I think there's a fair bit of plagiarism.
Yeah, I wasn't at the game. It was my twin that you seen outside before.
Yeah, I think so.
And
lucky
after.
for him, because he's an ugly fucker today.
Oh, he fell in the ugly steps, as I've been, believe me.
Here, what about just before? I want to talk about very, very quickly before we wrap up the Kilmarnock game. But what about in the match when one of the fucking exploding things?
Oh. Yeah, what was it? What would you even call it? Like a firecracker or something?
Banger or something.
Oh, one of the bangers. It hit your foot and then hit my leg, and then fucking exploded right in front of us.
Flashbacks to Nam.
Oh, I thought I was in Nuketown getting flashbanged.
I got Black Ops 6, by the way, for Christmas, so we can play it later.
No, you're right.
Right, Kilmarnock, obviously just off the back of a very, very good performance and win against Aberdeen yesterday as well, 4-0 at Rugby Park. We've got them on Sunday, a sellout crowd at Easter Road. Do we need to just keep the foot on the gas, boys, and not allow ourselves to be complacent? We do have a fairly decent record against Kilmarnock at home in recent years, but I don't think we can afford ourselves to lose this game. I think we need to take something.
3 points would be
Killie or Dugmeat
magnificent.
away from home.
What, Sean?
I'm saying Killie or Dugmeat away from home, so fingers crossed.
Aye, but we're dog shit in front of full houses at Easter Road.
Yeah, I was just going to say we're also the second worst home team in the league.
Are we?
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant.
I think if you were looking at it, see before yesterday, if you'd have said out of yesterday and Sunday, we'll come out of it with 4 points, you'd have been probably happy.
A
So
draw against Hearts and a win against Killie.
draw against Hearts and win against Killie. Now it's hard to take a point when you're the home team, but
I'd probably be happy with coming away, going into this St Johnstone game on the 2nd with 4 points from those two games. And
6 would, didn't get me wrong, 6 would be
incredible.
But
It would put us further away from Kilmarnock.
On the balance of things, a point based on their result yesterday as well, a point wouldn't be the worst, because the worst would be losing.
Yep. No, you're right.
So it'd be second worst.
And is third on?
Mm.
We're back. We get the passports out, boys.
I tell you what, we're not far away for fourth.
We're not far away at all. Sean and I actually spoke about this last.
We're not far away from it.
Is that we're? I don't think it's out with the realms of possibility. That
Stranger things have. I mean, look, fucking.
But do you remember the season that top that you've got on, Craig?
Yeah, I was going to say Barry Robson.
For a long, long time, and then they just powered through and finished third. So
Barry Robson came east. Jim Goodwin came to Edinburgh and lost 11 goals in the space of 4 days.
It was the end of January as well.
Yep, got the sack, and then was it Robson won like 7 out of the next 9 or 7 out of the next 8 or something, and they ended up finishing clear in third. So
there's a chance, especially with Aberdeen. They've now not won in 7 or something.
Yep,
1 win in 7, something like that, which is incredible when you look at how well they started at the start of the season. But this is a chat for another day. We will wrap it up there, boys. Thanks very much for joining me. Thank you for listening. If you've got this far, of course, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, everything. We are at the Hibs Ramble, and you might see a couple of funny videos if we win. If we win the next few games, make a dangerous precedent for myself, haven't you?
I know. If you've not seen it, go and watch our alternative angle. The Aberdeen one was good. Yesterday's one was even better.
Yeah, it's funny. It takes me ages to do it as well, so please go and watch it. I can see right here that there's been 23 bookmarks, so that'll be coming back to bite us when Hearts beat us in the next derby at Easter Road. So thanks for joining us, lads. Enjoy your trip to Easter Road on Sunday if you're going. Then enjoy your new year, and we'll talk to you either after the Kilmarnock game or after the St Johnstone game. Bye-bye.
Let's all do the Rocky Bushiri.
Bye.
Come on, Sean.
He's not doing that.
There we go.
Let's get ready to rumble.